Welcome to Talking Halos. Derek Ciapola with my co-host, my partners in crime, Jared Timms, Nate Green, and our special guest, prize guest, didn't he know was going to be on, Taylor Blake Ward, longtime friend of the show, also one of the preeminent experts of the MLB draft for the Angels and other teams in the league. Okay, so I guess we have to give Jared his credit here too, and half credit to Nate. That's according to the team. Anyways, first things first, Taylor, man, welcome to the show. It's been eons since you've been on, and a
It
long
has
time since I've
been.
seen you.
It has been, man. I miss you.
Uh,
I was just talking about it with Jared. Every time I'm on, you're never on with me. So I'm excited to be on with you, man. I don't give a rip about the other two guys. I want to be with you.
That's right. Oh man, we've it's been a long time since we've had a good baseball conversation, so I'm glad you're here. Real excited actually. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm not even sure how well I'm showing that excitement, but I know. So, guys, we had quite the eventful draft. Quite the eventful draft indeed. A lot of surprises, but maybe not so surprising if you know how the Angels operate. Well, but doesn't change Angels Twitter, for example, from flipping its lid yesterday with the draft. So before I even get into all the picks, I guess let's go ahead and just go after a couple quick questions. What actually was, I mean, I'll go with the Captain Obvious question first, but what was the biggest surprise of the draft for you and why? Starting with Jared.
I'm gonna take the easy answer here, guys. I'm sorry, and that's gonna be TJ Ford going in the 14th round. No, I'm just kidding. Tyler Brimner going in the first at two as well. I don't even think he knew he was gonna go second. Looking at his response or looking at the video of him getting drafted, everybody was extremely surprised. I like the pick though. That's the most surprising thing for me. And I think day three, I call it day three still. I think day three was a nice surprise for the Angels as well. Even though there was only 2 days of this draft. So 11 through 20, I thought was a decently nice surprise for the Angels as well. Yeah, and there's plenty of things I can say, but I'll let other people take it since we have so many people on today.
Nate, your big surprise.
Yeah, I would have gone with Jared's answer, of course, but he
TJ
took
Ford
the
in the
easy
14th.
he took the easy answer out. But I'd say I was shocked they went 14 pitchers. I thought we were going to see a couple more hitters, especially knowing where the offense has been and what they're kind of looking to build with the young guys and the young core. I was shocked to see 14 pitchers in this draft.
Taylor, go.
Are we talking Angels or are we talking general?
Ain't well for you, you want both Angels and your biggest surprise of the draft overall.
It wasn't a surprise to me because his name was circled in red on my notebook, but Chase Shores in the second round, I knew that was going to happen, but after they took Bremner, I think Shores was a surprise because I thought they were going to go a little bit more upside there. I thought that was going to be a bigger kind of financial thing. Um, in general, the Cleveland Guardians had like a great draft, but a really weird one for their standard. Particularly taking Jace Laviolette at 27th overall. That was I expected them to go in that range, but definitely not to Cleveland. So that was a big one for me.
All right, so in turn, we have our surprise here. For me, it was Bremner. Of course, I had a big sad heart because Ethan Holiday didn't go to the Angels, but we all saw that coming before. Anyways, when we're looking at the overall strength of the draft, Nate, you mentioned 14 pitchers. Which name outside of Bremner stands out to you among those pitchers on the list?
Me or Jared? Jared, go ahead.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I like CJ Gray. I like him a lot. I think that the uh, good fastball, super athletic. He just fits the Billy Epler mold rather than the Perry Minasian mold. A lot of upside there. The fastball's been up to 98. Sweepy slider, and a changeup in the works. He's supposed to go to North Carolina or NC State to be a quarterback. So yeah, that's my guy to keep an eye on. See how the Angels develop him.
All right, Nate,
Yeah,
go.
that's going to be the biggest question for all of these, Jared, is how are the Angels going to develop these high school kids? Because there are a lot of high school kids in this draft, more than normal for the Angels. Yeah, nine I think is what it was. Way more. It's typically one, two, three at the most. So this is a very different Angels draft. Johnny Slawinski, I think that's a name to keep an eye on for me. Was supposed to go to Texas A&M. lefty. And he looks like he has a shot to be good. The competition that he faced this year was not elite by any means from what we've seen, but I think the stuff is definitely there. He was a guy who probably was going to be one of Texas A&M's bigger high school recruits. So he's a guy that I like. I think we should keep an eye on, especially he's already said he's excited to sign with the Angels, so that's huge too, knowing that the Angels are taking a high school kid in the third round. He's already said he's ready to sign, so that's big.
Uh, Taylor, something Nate just mentioned to me kind of go. I can go back years to conversations you and I had many years ago about development with the Angels. Now they're tasked to develop 14 pitchers if you can sign them all. Many of them are from the high school level. If you are a fan of the Angels right now and you're looking at this draft class, where do you find hope in this draft class development wise, and where are you worried?
I'm worried that this is going to be a perceived linear development, that you can touch every single one of these guys and treat them the exact same. They're all different. They're all outstanding athletes. That's the one thing I want to put is like all of these guys are outstanding off the charts athletes on the mound. They're the kind of guys that you would expect to be playing football. They're the kind of guys you'd expect to be playing all kinds of other sports. I just hope that it's not a linear development. I feel like with the pitching lab in Tempe, things have gone a little differently. And I think most of these kids are going to be sitting in Tempe for a long time. The other thing I'm worried about, and this was, I think I might have been telling Nate about this, is that when Liam Doyle was perceived to be the number 2 overall pick kind of thing, I just wasn't. It's not that I disliked Liam Doyle by any standard. I thought he was a special arm. I just didn't want him to be a Angels pick because they were going to move him quick. And I think you need to take time on a pitcher like that. So when it comes to all these other guys, I think as long as you take your time with them, you can be satisfied. And that's what I would be focused on, is making sure that all these guys, you're taking time with them. And I'm going to mute my phone real quick. I got a dog passing by, and I've also got my dog. So I'm going to mute real quick. But you guys can chatter.
So when we're talking about okay, things we're worried about, Jared, what are you excited about these 14? Because you said earlier, plenty surprise, things to be happy with, especially in the last half of the draft. What are you excited about with who they took?
The preps, the prep players, high school players, they doubled down in the Perry Minasian era. Coming into this draft, they had 9. Perry Minasian had drafted 9 prep players. They drafted 9 today. So that's what I'm most excited about. It might take a little bit longer, right? Like it might be a normal development. It's not the Christian Moore who's getting sent up really quickly. It's not those types of guys. As someone who watches a lot of minor league baseball, that's what I'm excited for, is to see these young players come up, because there's not a lot to talk about in the Angel system right now. And I mean, Taylor and I get on the phone quite often and say that. Unfortunately, it's like it's tough to watch these Angels minor league teams under so many games under 500, not playing well, not developing well. So it'll be fun to see. It'll be fun to see some of these guys actually, in a sense, take their time and develop. And on that note, I mean, if you are not a Perry believer and you think that Perry should be fired, they just added a lot of high school players, young talent that will go beyond Perry's tenure as well. So it's kind of a win-win in that scenario.
Nate, you're one of the guys who's been very vocal about Paranazian's tenure thus far, especially in the last couple of years. And just like Jared said, we have this draft class, which doesn't, I mean, if you're looking at keeping your job, not keeping your job, it took a lot of risks in this draft class, especially with prep arms, the college arms that, have some issues, has some concerns there at least. What are you thinking today as you see this draft class and where this team is going?
Yeah, much like you and Jared just said, very, very risky for a guy who's probably fighting for his job, honestly. I mean, I know the Angels have played well so far this year. They're 2 games under 500, and Perry can point to like, hey, we're making strides in the right direction. Hopefully the Angels can finish close to 500, and he could really prove that of like, hey, look, we've taken that next step forward. But yeah, it's a very, very risky draft with a lot of like high upside guys, but also a lot of like huge question marks. I mean, you had Bremner with the forearm injury early. You hope that doesn't come back, but that's always going to be an issue for pitchers, is the forearm. You took Taylor Haley, who we haven't even talked about. He was a Vandy commit, one of the top guys in this draft as well. He's already had two TJs in his career, and he's just finished his senior year. So there's a lot of risk in this, and then you go on to the hey, the Angels haven't really developed any guys, any pitching in the last who knows how long you could argue. And so it's just very risky on this pick and just to see kind of the way that Perry went about it, especially knowing that he's kind of fighting for his job.
One of the things that confused me, especially with the first two picks, was Bremner had some injuries this year, dealing with some personal things as well. Chase Shores was taken in the second round. He's had some injuries. It does seem like the Angels took a lot of risk relating to where they're going. Then you outlaw the prep arms. Mr. Taylor Blake Ward, are you ready to answer something now?
You got it.
Okay, so you are on the outside kind of looking in now. You cover the Angels here, but you are more on the outside. You see a whole lot more than just the Angels organization. When you're looking at this draft and you're talking about those risks, from that point of view, that little bit of an outsider point of view now, how are you viewing it?
I think they took risk today. I don't think they took a single risk yesterday. I think that they actually played it really risk avert. I think going off the board, and I think Nate made a good point. The forearm, the durability of Tyler Bremner is something it's a little scary. But I think that's why I thought it was going to be Doyle. It's risk avert. You're going to get a major leaguer out of Chase Shores. You know you're going to get a major leaguer out of Tyler Bremner. You know you're going to get a major leaguer out of Nate Snead. I think that's risk avert because you're just looking for major leaguers, and especially with what I think ownership would be pleased with is what is it, 6 years in a row, 5 years in a row, you get the first player from the draft to the majors. Ownership's going to have that as an entitlement thing. And I think it's actually very risk avert if you have Chase Shores. I'd imagine he's shut down for the year, but if he comes out of spring training next year and you pull a Ryan Johnson with him and he's in the bullpen, I think that's an ownership. It pleases ownership. So I actually think the first day was risk avert. I think there was a lot of risk today, but I liked the risk they took today. I love I'm all about upside. I love upside. I would have loved to have seen Aivar Cat be the pick. I would have loved to seen Seth Hernandez be the pick. Love upside. So I really liked what they did today.
So, question: you wouldn't regard a guy who has already been injured like Shores has, had all those concerns. You don't consider that risky at this point?
You do, but I think every pitcher is. You draft pitchers so that they can break. You hope they break before they get to you, or they hope they break after they're done with you. I think that's a big thing with pitchers. I think that's a common comment these days. So I think, and that's what I would not be surprised if Chase Shores is a big leaguer next year. If he hadn't have thrown whatever amount of innings he's thrown this year, wouldn't have been surprised if he was any. He hasn't pitched in what, a month and a half or something like that, or a month. If he was pitching 2 weeks ago and he signed in the next 3 days and they sent him out, wouldn't be stunned if he pitched this year. So I think that's what you got, a big leaguer. As much as that's a disappointing thing to hear because you want more than just a big leaguer, you got a big leaguer from the draft. And the Angels have actually done a good job of getting big leaguers from the draft. It's just the impact outside of your first round picks. And I think, Nate, you would argue with this with me very much in particular. It's fine. I think they haven't had the impact that you'd like, right? That's what you want, more impact. The fact that you have a Neto, a Shanwell, Detmers has changed. That's a different regime, though. That's an Epler pick. Christian Moore, obviously.
Christian Moore.
Right. It's like, but you got major leaguers. Now, I understand completely you want more impact from those four guys. And I think Neto's maybe the outlier because he's been outstanding.
100%.
But you have to also accept the fact that when you're in this position, getting a major leaguer is already a victory in itself. As much as that may suck to hear.
Kind of, but you also like you said, they went very risk avert of like, hey, we're just going to take a safe guy who's going to make the big leagues rather than take a guy who could be way, way, way better than any of these guys and could be to the bigs just as quickly as some of these guys and be way better. So like, yes and no, like I understand what you're saying, but also it's like, could you have taken a guy better and still made your team better rather than like, hey, we got a guy who's going to make the big leagues. He's safe, but he's not like that top of the rotation arm or whatever you're looking for.
I think one of the
Right.
things.
So let me counter with it, and just if I can counter with it, Nate, is, and
Okay.
that's fine. I agree with you. What if they took Cade Anderson yesterday instead, right? And Cade cost you $1 million or $1.5 million more
Hmm.
than what Tyler's going to cost you, and you didn't get CJ Gray, Taylor Hay. I know Haley's a little bit of a different
Hmm.
situation because of the two TJs, and I agree
Yeah.
with you. I think it's an awesome story. I hope that he is a superstar, but there's serious risk taking a
Hmm.
2J. But say you didn't get 7 high school arms today. Say you got one, right? What would your perception be? And
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you. I would have actually preferred that it be the superior talent, the Ethan
Yeah.
Holiday, the Ivar Cat, the
Hmm.
Seth Hernandez, whoever, right? But at the same time, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I would have been on the same page as you of like, hey, go get the best player available rather than like we haven't developed anyone lately. Like, let's be honest. You could say like Caden Dana's made strides, but he hasn't fully developed. You could say like you can't really say that Shanwell's developed or Neto's developed. Like we drafted him, put him in the bigs, like not really developed them. It was just like, hey, just go play. So when you look at an org that hasn't developed as well, it's like just go get the best guy, let him perform, and then we're probably not hitting on any of these picks anyway from 10 to 20 because we haven't really done it anyway.
And I think you and I have talked about this, Nate and Jared and Derek. You'll understand it. You look at every organization in baseball. How many starting pitchers does each organization actually develop
Yeah.
into a legitimate starting? Like you can look at the Dodgers, right? Is Bobby Miller a legitimate starting pitcher? Is Landon Knack a legitimate starting pitcher? No, they're not, right? They may have had huge prospect status, but they're not legit starting pitchers. So developing, even the teams that are quote unquote the best at developing,
Hmm.
struggle to develop a legitimate starting pitcher. It's one of the
Yes.
hardest things you could find. A starting everyday shortstop and a starting pitcher are the two hardest things, and also a catcher. But I think the Angels. I mean, I know Logan hasn't been great this year, but they got Logan. Obviously, Zach Neto has been, like we
Hmm.
said, off the charts. But finding that starting pitcher is really hard, and that's why I think Tyler Bremner is going to be a starting pitcher. But you have to worry about the
Yeah.
injuries and durability.
I think I think we don't have this conversation the same way if the Angels' track record for development was not as poor as it is. More importantly, I think when we're talking about development, the last time they actually developed a star, Mike Trout. So you haven't developed that star guy, that guy who you look to as, hey, he this is the face of organization since Trout, and that's been 15 years. That's the track record. So those of us who are watching this draft, we're like, well, it's kind of hard to see the vision and accept the vision and support what they're doing when they take some risks here and don't take them here because there's just what you're talking about, Taylor, is it's just okay, yeah, you're getting major leaguers and that's it. There's nobody who you're saying, okay, there's the franchise. Jared, haven't heard from you in a while.
What do you want me to say?
Anything you want.
Anything I want.
I know you have a lot about that 11 to 20 that you want to get to. I can see it in your eyes.
Eric, can I jump in for half a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
I do think that Tyler Bremner has upside. I do think
Of
he has.
course.
I think he could be. I know that a lot of people got upset because I said he has the prototype of being a mid rotation righty kind of thing. I don't have any doubt in my mind that his upside is a number two in a rotation, and that's. I'm never going to give someone an ace caliber. I don't even think I gave Paul Skeens an ace caliber grade, right? Um, but I think he has upside to be a number two. So I just want to get that out of the way too.
When you go back to say a Reed Detmers, what did you have for him in terms of upside?
About the same as Kate Anderson to a degree. It was. I just realized I walked in the house and it's a mess. I apologize for that. I would probably say the same as Kate Anderson to some degree. I think he was one of those guys that was a pitchability lefty that had upside to be a number two in a rotation. And I would say that within reason, that's kind of what Kate Anderson is.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some sort of a comp there in terms of first round
Yeah.
pitchers.
Hey guys, can I switch over to my computer now that I'm back home?
Do it.
I'm
Go
jumping
ahead.
back on. I'll see you guys in a minute.
Jump back on. We'll keep going.
So, Jared, in the meantime, that 11 to 20, I know you were excited about it, but I want to ask you guys about not just the 11 to 20, but the six positional players in the draft that they took. I paid close attention to a third baseman. I saw a little bit that interested me. What interested you, Jared, about one, the positional players, and two, at 11 to 20 that really made you happy?
Yeah, positional player wise, they went big physical power. It's kind of been what they've always done. Like I mean, friend of the show Joe Stewart was a perfect example of that. And Jake Monroe, big, powerful, first base, third base type of guy. Performed well at Louisville. You go down to Slade Alford, same basic concept there. Corner infielder plus raw power. Nick Rodriguez is going to be an outlier there, second baseman who's kind of similar to Randy Flores last year. And then you kind of keep going down the draft here, and at 14, TJ Ford. I know I kind of made a little joke, but I mean that's not a high upside, but it's an upside. High school bat that'll be interesting to see if they can sign him. Gage Harrelson, it'll be interesting to see what he is. I think he's more of an or guy at the end of the day, but not a lot of power. Plays decent defense, can play all three outfield spots. Puts bat on ball, strikes out a little bit. So there's that. And then Ivan Tatis Jr., very similar to the Rowdy Rodriguez draft pick last year. Actually came out of the exact same school as Rodriguez, and he's I don't want to call it a breakout this year, but he's having a really good start to 2025 for sure, and he's jumping up on some people's top 30 boards. So yeah, I don't think it's definitely a pitcher heavy draft. They didn't get anybody crazy good positional player wise by any means, and I know that that's kind of I think where they're hurting a little bit, but also there are a couple of players in here that are rather intriguing. Ivan Tatis in particular for me is probably the most intriguing out of all of them. And Isaiah Jackson, I completely missed him as well. Big power lefty out of ASU there. Intrigued to see what he is too, as Taylor's jumping him back on now. So.
Nate, your thoughts as well on the positional players and the 11 to 20?
Yeah, position player wise, very underwhelming. I think that personally, I thought they were going to add a little bit more in the position player wise. It felt like they went a couple or guys and some guys that were going to take under slot and just uh, really focused heavily on the pitchers. My biggest question for Taylor, because we have Taylor back on, do you have anyone that is a worry for the Angels to sign? Because that's the biggest question for the Angels with taking so many high schoolers. Is there one or two guys that's like, ooh, could we have trouble signing him? Or even the ASU kid, Jackson, like, is he going to be a tough guy to sign? I would say no, but you're the expert.
I just talked to Tim right before we jumped on here. It was his Zoom call. I kind of asked him this because I'm looking at a name Cole Raymond. Cole Raymond, the Connecticut arm that they took in the 17th round. When you take a prep arm in the 17th round, I just asked him. I said I didn't ask about signability concerns because he can't answer that, right?
Yeah,
It's a political response. He can't
of
answer it.
course.
And I just said, are any of these players strictly communication between the team and the player in their group? And he said no. He said that every player they have at least had a conversation about the finances, and that he didn't say they anticipate to get everyone, but he kind of leaned towards saying he was going to anticipate. The one I don't think that Ivan Tatis is going to be a problem. Ivan Tatis is the cousin of Fernando Jr. I think he's related in some way to the Tatis family. Tim wasn't aware of what the relationship was. We just know he's of that Tatis family. Um, he came from the same program as Rowdy Rodriguez. He's also a Dominican player from that program. I think that I wouldn't worry too much about that one, even though it is a 19th round pick. You did mention Isaiah Jackson, which I didn't think about. He is a junior, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, if he was a sophomore, I would say there's a little bit more concern, but a junior, I'm not going to worry myself with too much. Because they'll still have finance. Because I'm looking here, like, they took what they take here, like rounds 10. Nick Rodriguez a senior, Slate Alford a senior, Lucas Malstead a senior. I can't imagine those guys combined are going to have a $50,000 bonus between the three of them. Even,
Gotcha.
I think they're going to like Malstead maybe because of the performance he had this year would be a $25,000 signee. Just a guess here. Alford actually performed really well, and has for a while, so maybe he gets 10,000. Nick Rodriguez, I think you're talking
Yeah. Yep.
thousands. So
Yep.
you're looking 30,000 savings. I do think they're going to save significant money with Bremner at the top. I think they're going to save well around $2 million. That's at least the concept I have. And then you're talking about already saving on top of that. I don't imagine Chase Shores is going to cost you an insane amount. I don't imagine Slowinski is going to go way over slot by any means. So I think they're going to have the funds to get all of these guys. I think they're good. And if they miss one of them, a bummer. Bummer.
Hmm.
That was actually my next question is who do you guys think is at risk for not signing? Did the money strategy work? I guess that's a great question. When we saw the first pick yesterday, we thought, okay, they are running the slot, they're trying to save money. Did they do what they need to do to make sure they can sign everybody?
I think so. I can't. I don't have the finances in front of me of each player. I think that's going to be something over the next week here that we're going to find out. But I think they're going to be fine. I don't see any concerns with signability, especially in the top 10 there. I think CJ Gray wants to play baseball as much as he's a good football player. He wants to play baseball. He wants to be in professional baseball. I think Luke LaCourse also wants to do the same. I think he's ready to start his pro career. And once you get into those guys, I would say the concerns are 11 to 20. And I think they have finances to not worry too much about it.
Taylor, my last question for you, thanks so much for making today, is the same as I asked them. The Angels took 6 positional players in the draft. What did you like about the ones they took? What didn't you like?
They added some left-handed power, which they really needed. I think Gage Harrelson gives them some left-handed power. Slate Alford, I know he's it's not left-handed power. I think he's right-handed power. But either way, I think they added some power to the organization, which was really needed. Jake Monroe is interesting. I don't know what to make of Jake Monroe. I think he's one of those guys that he slips through the cracks because he's exciting, but the tools are just so average that ends up being an average baseball player, right? And average is kind of boring. You want some flash, you want some flair, you want an above average tool or a plus tool somewhere. I think he's a guy that hits for average. I think he's got some power. I think he could play the field. The one thing he might end up moving to first base. If he moves to first base, then you have to put more on the bat. But the one guy that I didn't know a whole lot about was TJ Ford, the outfielder they took in the 14th round. Sounds like he is an 80 grade runner, switch hitter. Derek, you played baseball, right, for a while?
Not like these guys did.
Okay, well,
Just a little league.
but I think you'll understand it. Is
Yeah.
every team has a slap and dash, a really quick slap and dash guy that can switch hit, right, Nate? Right, Jared? Every good team you've played against has one, and they're annoying. It gets harder for those guys to succeed every step of the ladder they make. So he's one of those guys I really want to monitor. I want to see what happens with him. I just don't know what it's going to be.
Closing thoughts, Jared, on the 2025 draft.
I get another like 30 minutes. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this draft. That's my closing thoughts. I really don't like. They played it safe in day one. They came out. I'm gonna call it day two or 4 through 10, and they played it a little bit better. And then day three with those 11 through 20, I thought they had a really good draft. I mean, I have to go and look, but I'd say that they had one of the better drafts. Out of 11 through 20. So I don't know what to make of it. Like if I was gonna grade it, a B. Like I really like Tyler Brimner though. Like, and I think I've said that on the show. I think I said it on the live stream that we did yesterday. Like I really like Tyler Brimner. Do I like him at 2? It's tough for me to say that. It really is. But I really like Tyler Brimner. I thought he was the safest starting pitcher in this draft. I really did, like, even over Liam Doyle. Like I just don't think there's a lot of reliever risk with Bremner compared to the others that we're talking about, especially for the dollar figure that you're going to get Bremner at. He did turn in medicals. It sounds like they came back clean, so that's a good thing to hear on that side of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what the dollar figure is there for Bremner. But I give it like a solid B. I just don't know what to make of it right now. I really don't. It'll be interesting to see what guys sign for.
Nate, what's your final thoughts on the draft?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be the pessimistic guy because that's my job, but a little underwhelmed, honestly. Like, yeah, Bremner's fine. Not the guy that I would wanted them to take, not the guy that I would have taken if I were them. There were a lot of guys on the board, obviously. And I don't know. I feel like when you're drafting at 2, you're expecting like a home run draft where you walk out of here going, man, we killed this draft. And it feels like, especially knowing you had the third most money in the draft, I don't know. I feel like we left this going, everyone's kind of scratching their head going, was it really that good? We'll see, wait and see. But I don't know. I don't feel like we're talking about this draft like Baltimore's talking about their draft or Cleveland's talking about their draft right now. And I think with the amount of money they had and the pick that they had, it was a little underwhelming for me.
Taylor,
Yeah,
your
that's the
last
word.
word on it.
That's the word I'd use. Underwhelming. If you're picking 2, you need to capitalize on that 2 pick. I don't know if they did. Like I said, I like Bremner. It's not, but I think there was a lot more that they could have done to capitalize on bringing talent into a farm system that really needed a lot more talent. I love the young pitching group. I love that they brought in a bunch of prep arms. That's really fun. It's exciting. It's going to be fun to cover for the next half decade. But I think that's a key word, Nate. Underwhelming. That's probably the way I would go with it. I did make a joke with Tim, by the way, is that is very Tad Johnson because that was his guru out in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee, if you've followed along, they've done pretty well with the draft. So I don't know. I don't want to. I love Tim. I think he does a good job. We'll see what happens with it, and Tyler Bremner might be way better than a lot of guys than we expected. I don't know.
My thoughts are I'm more in agreement with Nate and Taylor. I do kind of sort of have to see him after as listening to you guys talking through and so on and so forth. I see it as well. They went for the surefire guys and they'll be major leaguers. They can take the risks later. That's kind of how I'm viewing it right now. So they at least they got something out of this draft. They guaranteed themselves something out of it so they can run the risks. But man, I would have loved to have seen a couple of other arms or, of course, Ethan Holiday. So, all right, Taylor, it's been a long time. Let people know where they can find all of your work. It's been a while.
Jeez, yeah. I've been working. You can find all of our draft work at thesportingtribune.com. And you can find Angels minor league stuff. Jared left. Jared's done.
Coming back.
Yeah. Jared, can I say where I work since is it a problem? Because we're competing markets here.
I don't care, boss.
No, you're a friend of the podcast
Chief.
always.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Guy. You can find my work when it comes to Angels minor leagues and prospects of Baseball America. And if you want, you can find the book on Amazon, Book in Search of Millionaires, Life of a Baseball Gypsy, as Jared is beautifully displaying. And if you care about socials a little bit more than I do, you can find me on social media at Taylor Blake Ward.
All right. Follow Jared at Jared_Tims. Follow Nate Green34. Follow me at DC Paul. Of course, follow Talking Halos. Our next playback is probably going to be this weekend. So we'll see you then. Have a great one.